one thing I think that's important, a lot of people forget about in a seller's market is how important it is to work with a buyer's agent. You know, some home buyers will want to go directly to the listing agent, and there are always scenarios where that may be better or that may be useful or effective. But I can't tell you how many times we've seen people miss out on opportunities because they didn't have a buyer agent really scoping the market for them. They were relying on, you know, links and, you know, different, you know, opportunities to, you know, to see what's going on in the market, or email notifications, and they didn't have a buyer agent working on their behalf. The buyer agent's going to help give them guidance about what to offer. They're going to help them frame that offer. They're going to help them best set that offer up, and also find inventory. What are some other reasons you guys think why it's important to have a buyer agent?
I mean, there's just so much that goes into the whole process that to the average person, I mean, it's something that you're going to do maybe, you know, once, twice, 3 times in your life, probably. You know, most people.
Sure.
And to have the experience of somebody that's obviously doing it, number one. Number two, the payment for that really is coming from the seller anyway.
Correct.
So if you are going to go directly to the seller and you think you're going to get this tremendous discount, if there's already a listing agent on there, I mean, that negotiation has already occurred. So I mean, we're talking about a very minimal amount that can be a difference, but you're also foregoing all of the other additional benefits of just walking you through every piece of process. I mean, you know, this.
I got an analogy for you.
Go ahead.
It's kind of like you're going to a court. You got to get in front of the judge, and you're the plaintiff, and the plaintiff and the other guy
The defendant
has an attorney, and you're trying to defend yourself.
Right, or you just say, hey, defendant, attorney, why don't you get us both?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what you're doing.
Yeah,
you're walking into court unarmed, and you say, hey, you know what? We're both going to share the same attorney. Let's start the trial.
Right.
That obviously isn't going to work very well. So it's a good point. The other thing that I would say that I think matters a lot is that the listing agent generally, now every agreement's different, but generally is going to have a duty to the seller. You know, they signed the agreement, they work together. So in the negotiation, as well as in the renegotiations, because there's really a couple of times you have a negotiation. There's when you go under contract, there's when inspections happen, there's when appraisals happen, there's during due diligence, depending on what's in the contract, because every contract's different. But there's multiple points for a renegotiation. And if you think you're going to save a few $1,000s and go directly to the seller's agent, are you going to lose that few $1,000s you think you're going to save somehow in the negotiation process? In a lot of instances, the answer is yes. You're not going to have someone really fighting for you. You're going to have someone fighting for the seller. And again, are there situations where it's better for someone to go directly to the seller? Of course. You know, there are lots of scenarios where maybe it makes sense for someone to do that. But I think in a lot of instances, it's a better path to have someone representing you in that process, to help guide you the right way, to help you, pick the right professionals to help you, all those different steps.
Not to throw anybody on the bus or not to point anybody out, but there's a lot of listing agents that are listing agents, and they say, I prefer to deal with listing.
They don't want to work with the buyer.
They want to work
That's
with
correct.
the buyer.
Yeah, no, there's no question there are people that advertise that way, that say, I don't work with buyers. I'm only a seller agent,
Right.
and I don't go out and drive people around. So, and what I would tell you is it's a very unique skill set. In my opinion, and again, not everybody, there are some people that just have enough drive that they're going to be great at anything, right? But I think naturally you're either a really good buyer agent or a really good listing agent. I think the skill set between the two of them are very, very different. So, someone that's, naturally good at both sides, that just means they're just an above average performer and they have a really high drive. But in our experience, a lot of people are good at one or the other, not necessarily both. So that's the other challenge with it, is if you work with somebody that lists most of the time that doesn't really specialize in that, it's like going to a general practitioner and saying, hey, I need heart surgery today. You're going to a general practitioner for something really, really specific. And again, in our experience, I think it's better if you focus on one or the other, just like a doctor would, just like a lawyer would.
Well, one more thing we mentioned earlier about the Zillow being a tool. And we talked about how, properties on Zillow, yes, you can absolutely search for them, but it's not going to be the most recent data. And what we're seeing right now is properties that are coming out, they're having multiple offers on it.
Right, and they're already gone by the time you see them, because it takes a little lag time to get to Zillow. And we deal with that a lot, too, where we have people calling about properties that are already under contract. But Zillow, we updated it, but they have to update it out of the MLS, and there's maybe a little bit of a delay in the data feed. So there's certainly those scenarios that happen.